I'd just like to say that I am so pleased that so many of you have turned out today. Every time these people come to Rotherham, they gain in confidence, and that's why we've seen the real tragedy of the racist murder of Mohsin Ahmed. And we cannot allow this to take place. You know, I see the death of Mohsin Ahmed and the tragedy of Alan Kurdi, the 3-year-old who was washed up on the beaches, as being the consequence of the same forces, the forces of racism and hatred. And we must stand up loud and clear against that. This is the only way that we can stop it. And I think that the speaker from the Muslim youth who spoke about the way in which all Muslims are expected to be responsible for the acts of a small number of people, he's absolutely right. It's called Islamophobia, and Islamophobia is the only respectful form of racism, and we must stop it. And I'll tell you why I say it's so important that people come out, because sometimes they make us feel fearful. They make us feel afraid. They make us feel we can do nothing about it as we stand in our homes. But I tell you, Mohsin Ahmed, he could have been anybody. He could have been anybody peacefully going about his business, and he was killed. It could have been anybody's father or anybody's grandfather. And that's why we must raise our voices against this injustice. And when we do that, we lose our fear. Look at the question of the refugees, the disgraceful coverage we had for week in, week out. Cameron saying that they won't let people into this country. It's changed. It's changed. The worm has turned. People cannot sit by and watch such injustice take place. And that means that people are now, today, a convoy has gone to Calais to take supplies down to Calais to say, we will not let you sit on the edge of this country in absolute misery. We welcome you here. And I care about the child abuse scandal. But what I hate is the way in which they want to say that it's all Muslims who are responsible for this. We know that the truth is that most abuse cases take place by white people, but they don't want to put that in the press. They don't want to say that's the reality. And I think we have to be loud and clear that we want justice for victims, but do not allow the racists to get away with blaming all Muslims. And I see that Britain First, they're such gutless people, really. They're such awful people. The fact that they say in their paper today and on their Facebook site that the Syrian boy's father came to this country to have his teeth fixed. Well, what does that say about these people? They are disgraceful, aren't they? And that's why they're not welcome in Rotherham. And I'll tell you, the politicians are also to blame, because they want us all to blame each other. And the truth of the matter is, it isn't ordinary people to blame. We shouldn't have to fight amongst each other for a few resources. We want governmental action to make sure that Rotherham has got decent jobs, decent schools and education. That's what we in the Trades Council fight for. And finally, I want to say to you all, please come to Sheffield next Saturday. Next Saturday there will be a rally called Refugees Are Welcome Here. We need people to be there in force, because that is the force of resistance against racism, that we can stand together as humanity, and that's why it's so important. And final thing, today marks the turning point that we will drive the people who turn up in our city, the fascists of all different kinds, we will drive those people back into the gutter where they belong.